Welcome to LIVEDAF, your online Daf Yomi shir.
Shalom and welcome back to today's Daf Yomi, Shabbos Daf Samach Aleph. On the last line of Daf Samach Amud Beis, says the Gemara, V'loi b'yachid, one is not meant to walk out in Rosh Hashanah wearing only a single shoe or a single sandal on one of his feet. Bizman she'ein b'ragli makkah, when he does not have a makkah, a wound on his foot. What is the reason for this? Rashi explains, when one walks out with a single shoe, the onlookers, the observers will suspect, will be choshed that perhaps he's carrying the second shoe in his pocket on Shabbos. Therefore, he shouldn't do so. However, if he has a makkah, a wound on his foot, then it's okay. Says the Gemara, Ha yesh b'ragli makkah nafik. However, if he has a makkah on his foot, then indeed he can walk out wearing a single shoe. V'hai minau nafik. On which foot is he meant to be wearing the single shoe? So we have a machlekes between Rav Huna and Chi Barav. Now, it would seem pretty clear from their discussion that they were dealing with the location where the custom was not to wear sandalim, not to wear shoes, unless there was a specific need, a specific reason to do so. They would go barefoot. There would be two reasons why one would wear a shoe in the street. Number one, mishum tsar, to avoid tsar, for protection. Protect himself from stones or sharp objects on the road. Or, if he's a delicate person, an istinus, he would wear it for pleasure and for comfort. So based on the reason for wearing the sandal in that locale, we can determine, in our case, in our Mishnah, on which foot he's meant to wear his shoe. Let's see again. B'hai minau nafik. On which foot is he meant to put this single shoe? On the foot that has the makkah, or on the other foot? We have a machlekes. Amar Rav Huna, b'oisa sheyesh b'makkah. On that foot that has the wound. Why? Alma kasavar, apparently Rav Huna holds, he is speaking about, referring to a location, an area, a locale which has the custom of primarily wearing a sandal l'shum tsar of it. He holds that the sandal is primarily meant for tsar. It's meant to protect one from the sharp objects on the road. L'shum tsar of it. It's meant for tsar. Therefore, apparently this person who's not wearing shoes on both feet, it's pretty clear and obvious that he doesn't need a sandal to protect him. He's a person who has thick skin. Rashi says, "Parsois of kashes." His soles are thick. He doesn't need the protection, and therefore he's not wearing two shoes. Why then is he wearing a single shoe? Because he's protecting his wound. Therefore, he's meant to put it on the foot that has the wound for protection, and this will be indicative of the fact that he's only wearing one shoe. He doesn't need two shoes. He's not carrying the other shoe with him. The simple reason why he's wearing the shoe is to protect his wound. So this is Rav Huna's approach. Chia barav Omar, ba'oisa she'ein b'makkah. He's meant to place his shoe on the foot that contains no wound. Why? Alma kasavar. Apparently, Chia barav holds l'shum tanag of it. The primary reason for wearing a shoe would be l'shum tanag. He's a delicate person. He needs it for added comfort and pleasure. V'zu sheyesh b'makkah makasa muchachas aleh. So this person needs the shoe for tanag. Therefore, he's wearing shoes, but he can't wear it on that foot that has the makkah. It's getting in the way. So therefore, he refrains from putting a shoe on the foot that has the makkah, so it doesn't aggravate his pain. So he's only wearing one shoe. On which foot? On the foot that has no makkah. So Sasemis interprets the Gemara as follows. He says that there's no real halachic nafkamina here. They're not arguing it, and it's not a halachic-based discussion. Rav Huna is referring to a locale where the primary reason for wearing the shoe is the shum tsar, and therefore he maintains that the person should wear the shoe on the foot that contains the makkah for protection. According to Chia barav, who is referring to a place, a locale which they wear the shoe primarily for the sake of tanuk, for comfort and pleasure. Therefore, he maintains that the single shoe is meant to be worn on that foot that contains no makkah. It's meant for tanuk, and the reason why he's not wearing two is because the makkah is getting in the way. Either way, this type of conduct will preempt, will avoid the chashash, the suspicion of the public and the onlookers that perhaps he's carrying the second one in his pocket. No, it's pretty obvious that he's wearing only one shoe, and there's a very special, specific reason that he's doing so. So there's no chashash that he's carrying a second one with him. Continues the Gemara. V'af Rav Yochanan savar lo lahad Rav Huna. Apparently Rav Yochanan also follows the reasoning of Rav Huna, that holds that we're speaking about where the sandal is meant for protection, l'shum tsar, and the sandal is meant to be placed on that foot that has the makkah for protection. How do we know Rav Yochanan is following on the same line? From the following story. The Amar le Rav Yochanan l'Rav Shaman bar Abba. Rav Yochanan turned to Rav Shaman bar Abba and told him, Havli misanoi, hand me over my shoes. Yor le diyamin. So he handed him over the right shoe first. Now Rav Yochanan maintains that the order of putting on shoes, one is meant to put on the left first, and then the right one. As the Gemara soon will explain. So Rav Yochanan, when he saw that he was handing him the right shoe first, and he's going to have to put the right one on first, and then he cannot put the left one on anymore, because if the right way to do it, the proper way of the proper sequence is left and then right, one's meant to follow that. So if he reverses and first puts on the right one, he can't put the left one any longer. So therefore, Rav Yochanan told Rav Shaman bar Abba, you're handing me the right foot, the right shoe, and once I place the right shoe on my right foot, I'll have to walk out with a single shoe on my right foot. If so, he told him, Asisei Maka, you've presented the right foot as if it has a wound. Because apparently Rav Yochanan is going along with Rav Huna's approach, that which foot is meant to have the shoe? The one that has the mark of the wound. So if I'm going to be stuck only wearing one shoe on my right foot, it will appear as though my right foot has a mark of a wound. So from this expression of Rav Yochanan, we see that he follows Rav Huna's approach. Says, how do you know? V'dilma, perhaps, Chiyah bar Rav's sfirle. He follows Chiyah bar Rav's approach, that which foot is meant to contain the shoe, the one that does not have the makkah. This is what he meant to tell him. Asisa shall smoil makkah. When you compel me to wear the single shoe on my right foot, it's going to indicate that my left foot has a makkah. And this is in accordance with the shita, with the approach of Chiyah bar Rav, that the foot that does not have the makkah will have the shoe. Therefore, it's inconclusive which way Rav Yochanan follows. He can follow Rav Huna's approach or Chiyah bar Rav's approach. Continues the Gemara. At any rate, we see that Rav Yochanan maintains what is the proper sequence of one putting on his shoes. First the left and then the right. Why? Rav Yochanan follows his reasoning, his opinion, his shita, with regards to the order that one is meant to put on his shoes. Rav Yochanan, kid tefillin, one is meant to follow the practice of wearing tefillin. Just like tefillin are tied onto one's left hand, kid tefillin and kachmen olin, the same thing regarding putting on shoes. First put it on the left and then on the right. Ma tefillin b'smoil, just as tefillin is placed on the left hand, af min olin b'smoil. Similarly regarding shoes, first you put on the left and then the right. What is the connection between shoes and tefillin? Because tefillin are strapped, are tied onto one's left. Min olin are meant to be tied, and therefore first comes the left and then the right. We see that kshira, tying, is connected to the left side of the person. Therefore Rabbi Yochanan maintains first the left and then the right. Says the Gemara, is that so? Meisvei, we learned in the Brisa. Kishu noil, when one puts on his shoes, noil sheyamin, v'achach noil shel smoil, first the right, and then he puts on his left, noil shel yamin, v'achach, afterwards noil shel smoil, he puts on his left shoe. Apparently the Brisa holds that just as we find many times in Torah where the yamin, the right hand of the person, is more chashav, is more prominent, more significant, we find it regarding avoid in the Beis Hamikdash. Tosfos brings another couple of examples. Boyin yad, this is when they put the dam of the asham. We find many halachos that are connected to the right hand of a person. The yamin is more chashav. The Gemara later will tell us that when one washes himself, he's meant to wash his right side first, his right hand first. So we find that the right side of a person is more prominent, more chashiv. Therefore, put your right shoe on first, and then your left. So we have a brisa which seems to disagree with Rav Yochanan. Amar Rav Yosef, hashta de san yahachi. Now that we have a brisa which tells us right comes first. Amar Rav Yochanan hachi. Rav Yochanan tells us the left shoe comes first. If so, how are we meant to follow? Says Rav Yosef, you have a choice, you have an option. The avad hachi, avad. If you follow this route, you're okay. The avad hachi avad. If you follow the other route, you're okay. Meaning, since we have no conclusion here. We have a Rav Yochanan, we have a brisa. Therefore, whichever way you choose is okay. And as Tosfos points out, provided that the person is consistent, he consistently follows one way or the other. We're not meant to alternate one day the right and one day the left. One is meant to adopt one approach, either the right foot or the left shoe. Amalei Abaye. So Abaye challenges Rav Yosef. You seem to present a machlokes here where Rav Yochanan holds one way, the brisa holds differently. Amalei Abaye. Dilma Rav Yochanan hamas nisin lav shmile. Perhaps Rav Yochanan never heard this brisa. V'yav shmile lay. If he would have theoretically heard the brisa, he would have changed his mind. He would have retracted. So how do we know that we have two shittas here? Perhaps Rav Yochanan only maintained his approach because he wasn't aware of the brisa. But now that we have a brisa which tells us otherwise, we want to follow the brisa. That's one approach. So according to this approach, we're meant to do the right and then the left. Alternatively, perhaps even if he would have heard the brisa, because savar in halacha is a mishnah. Inam Shmili means, and perhaps he did hear the brisa. He actually did know about the brisa, because savar, nevertheless, he maintained, and halacha is a mishnah. And halacha does not follow that mishnah. The Gemara uses the word mishnah here with reference to a brisa. So we're not sure whether Rav Yochanan actually meant to disagree with the brisa, and therefore we have two shittas, or he never knew about the brisa. And had he have heard of the brisa, he would have retracted. So therefore, how do you know we really have two shittas here? Continues the Gemara. Amar Rav Nachman Yitzchak. Yerei Shamayim. A person is Yerei Shamayim. Yotzei Yidei Shteim. He should adopt both approaches. Umanai, who's an example of this type of person? A Mar Breid Ravanim, who followed both opinions. Says Mohechi Ovid. How did he follow both opinions? It's either the right one first or the left one first. Says the Gemara, listen to this. What he did was as follows. Siyem diyaminai. He would place the right shoe on his right foot, below katar, but he didn't tie the laces. So he gave chashivas, he accorded respect to his right foot by placing the shoe first. However, when it comes to tying, he advanced the left over the right. Let's see again. Siyem diyamin veloy kata. First, he puts the right shoe on first. Veloy kata without. He didn't tie it. V'siyem the small, and then he placed the shoe on his left foot. The kata, and he tied the laces. V'hadar kata diyamin. And afterwards, he went back to the right foot, to the right shoe, and tied it up as well. So when it came to placing the shoe, he gave respect, covered, and chashivas to his right side, to his right foot. So he was yaitzi that shita, the shita of the brisa, who tells us to give chashivas and importance to the right shoe, to the right foot. When it came to tying, which is reminiscent of tying of tefillin, which is connected to the tying, the kshira of the tefillin, he adopted a approach of Shmuel, of Rabbi Yochanan, who gave chashivas in that regard, with regard to kshira, to tying to the left side. He tied the left, and then only concluded by tying the right side. So indeed, he was yoitzi deishteim. He fulfilled both concepts, both aspects, gave chashivas, gave important significance to the right side and to the left side as well. Now Tosfos points out, certainly this only applies to shoes that contain laces. But if one does not have laces on his shoes, then he's meant to place the right one first, and then only the left one first. Then only the left one. Continues the Gemara. Omar Rav Ashi Chazina Rav Kahana loy kapit. I noticed that Rav Kahana was not particular regarding the order of placing shoes on his feet. Apparently, Rav Kahana holds that when it comes to wearing garments which are chashiv, or washing oneself, as the Gemara soon will tell us, then indeed there is chashivas to the right side. But shoes, apparently, it's not such a significant item where one is meant to be particular in which order he places it on his feet. Says the Gemara, Tanar Rabbanan, we learned in the Bryce. Kishu Noel, so this is the Bryce I mentioned earlier. And one places the shoes on his feet. Noel Shel Yamin, first comes the right, V'achach Noel Shel Shmal, afterwards the left. Kshu Chaylitz, when he removes his shoes, here too is meant to give kavod to his right foot, his right shoe. Chaylitz Shel Shmal, so first he removes the left shoe, and he leaves the right shoe in its place a bit longer. This way he gives more kavod to the right. And then afterwards removes the right shoe. So this way he gives kavod to his right foot. So when it comes to placing the shoes, first comes the right and then the left. When it comes to removal, first comes the left. He's meant to leave the right shoe on his right foot a bit longer, to give his right foot a bit more kavod. Continues the right shoe roichetz, when he washes. Roichetz shel yamin, first he's meant to wash his right side. V'achach roichetz shel shmal, and afterwards his left side. V'roitze losach kol gufay, if one is about to anoint his whole body, including his head. Roishet chila, he's meant to sachas roishet chila is meant to anoint first his head. V'pnei shu melech al kol ivara, because the head is the most prominent, significant aver of his whole body. It is a melech, it rules the whole body. Therefore, the head comes first. It appears from the Gemara that when it comes to washing as well, if he's going to wash his head as well, he's meant to begin washing from the head, because the head is the melech al kol ivarav. Interesting that the Vilna Gaon in Shulchan Aruch, in Hilchas Tefillin, where the Shulchan Aruch tells us that one is meant to have kavanah when he puts on his tefillin sharosh, that the neshama in one's mayach, one's brain, one's head should be subordinate to Hashem through the tefillin, should be tied, connected to Hashem through his tefillin sharosh. It should affect the neshama in his mayach. So the Vilna Gaon always looks to find sources from things for things mentioned in Shulchan Aruch. He says, where's the source, the makar, for this concept that the neshama is stationed, is positioned, is contained in one's mayach, in one's brain, in one's head. He points to this Gemara, Shabbos Samachalaf. But the Gemara tells us that the head is the melech al kol ivarav of the person, apparently because the neshama is contained therein. So in summary, let's go back to the halacha mentioned in the Mishnah regarding wearing a single shoe when the person has a makkah on his foot. On which foot is he meant to wear that single shoe? The Gemara told us, depends. If the shoes are primarily worn l'shem tsar, for protection, then he's meant to wear the shoe, the single shoe, on that foot that has the makkah. Because the fact that he's not wearing two shoes indicates that he doesn't need, this person doesn't require shoes, he has thick skin, and is not affected by the road. She's merely wearing a single shoe. Why? To protect his makkah. Therefore he places it on that foot that contains the makkah, and all will know that he's merely wearing one shoe. He doesn't need a second one. He's not carrying a second one with him. According to the second approach of the Gemara, that the primary reason for wearing this shoe is l'shum tanug. He's a person who's sensitive, delicate. He's wearing this shoe for comfort and pleasure. In this case, he's meant to wear this single shoe on that foot that has no makkah, that does not contain that wound. He's wearing l'shum tanug, and the fact that he's not placing it on the shoe, that on the foot that has the makkah, indicates that he simply can't, because the makkah is getting in the way. According to the other shita, however, who holds that the point of the shoe is primarily l'shum tsar, for protection purposes, the fact that he's putting the shoe on that foot that has the makkah, and as Rashi says, he's limping, everybody sees him limping, it's pretty obvious that he has a makkah on his foot. And that's why he's wearing the shoe. He's not wearing it on the other foot because he's a thick-skinned fellow. He doesn't need two shoes. This will be pretty clear and indicative of the reason for him wearing the shoe is simply to protect his wound, and nobody will suspect that he's carrying another shoe around with him in Rosh Hashanah. The Gemara proceeded with the general concept of wearing shoes, of placing shoes on one foot. Which order, which sequence is it meant to be done? According to Rabbi Yochanan, first comes the left, because just as tying tefillin takes place on one's left hand, so too tying one's shoes. And then comes the right. According to the Brisa, first right and then left. The Gemara concludes that Yirei Shamayim should adopt both. First put the right, then the left, tie the left, and then the right. Continues the Gemara. V'loi b'tefillin, one is not meant to walk out in Rosh Hashanah on Shabbos wearing tefillin. Now we know there's a machlekes whether or not Shabbos is zman tefillin. Is Shabbos the appropriate time for wearing tefillin? Is there a mitzvah of tefillin on Shabbos? One sheet holds Shabbos zman tefillin. One sheet holds Shabbos lav zman tefillin, because tefillin is meant to be a sign, and Shabbos is already providing that sign. The term ois is mentioned with regard to Shabbos, and therefore one does not wear tefillin on Shabbos. Says the Gemara, let's analyze the Mishnah. The Mishnah tells us there's no tefillin to be worn on Shabbos in Rosh Hashanah. The Mishnah indicates to us that the reason for this is not because minat Torah he's doing a malacha. It's not considered to be a maso load. Rather, it is only a gzer d'Rabbanan for some concern that we'll see in our Gemara. So let's analyze the Mishnah. Whose shita, whose opinion is the Mishnah following? Is it following the shita that holds Shabbos is a time to wear tefillin, or the shita that holds that is not the time for wearing tefillin? Amar of Safra. Loi tema, don't think. Aliba demand Amar. That the Mishnah tells us not to wear tefillin on Shabbos is following the shita that holds Shabbos lav zman tefillin, and therefore it's asur. But perhaps, according to the other shita that holds that Shabbos is zman tefillin, it's no problem. A person can wear tefillin on Shabbos in Rosh Hashanah. No. Says Rosh Hashanah, no. Ella afilu l'man da'amar Shabbos zman tefillin. Even according to the shita that holds that Shabbos is the appropriate time for wearing tefillin, lo yetze. Don't go out into Rosh Hashanah wearing tefillin. Why? Dilma osi la'asui Rosh Hashanah. There's a concern. There's a very real chashash that a person may go ahead and wear and carry it. It may result in being carried in Rosh Hashanah, as Rashi explains, because perhaps if he needs to relieve himself and he's go to the bathroom, he might have to remove his tefillin, because that is the halacha. A person needs to remove his tefillin prior to relieving, and therefore this may result in him carrying the tefillin Shus Harabim. Therefore, the Chacham said, this is a gzer d'Rabbanan, don't wear the tefillin Shus Harabim. Some had a different version of this teaching of Rav Safra, that Rav Safra applied this saying, this teaching, to the seif of the Mishnah, to the latter part of the Mishnah. Mishnah says, we're not meant to wear tefillin in Rosh Hashanah, but if he does so, it's only an issa d'Rabbanan. Certainly he's not liable for a chatas. It's not considered to be a malacha d'oraisa. Says Rav Safra, Rav Safra, lo yitema, don't think that the reason why it is not considered to be an issa min Torah, it's not considered to be as if he carried a real load on Rosh Hashanah. Don't think this is only following the shita lo yitema aliba demand Omar Shabbos zman tefillin. Don't think that it's only because we are following, we are based on the shita that holds Shabbos is zman tefillin, and therefore it's considered to be a malbush min Torah, and it's not considered to be a load. It is only a d'Rabbanan on account of the concern we mentioned earlier. Don't think so. Ela afilu l'mad omar Shabbos lav zman tefillin. Even if we are following the shita that holds that Shabbos is not the time to wear tefillin, einei chayav chatas. Nevertheless, if one walks out in Shusram wearing tefillin, he will not be chayav chatas. It's not considered to be a master load, even though he's not meant to be wearing tefillin today. Why? Why is it not a load? My time, derech malbush avida, because it is placed on the person derech malbush, like a garment, like an article of clothing. Why? Since during the ordinary weekday, tefillin is meant to be worn on the person. So even with regards to Shabbos, we consider it like a malbush, even though today it's not really the appropriate time to wearing tefillin. There's no mitzvah, there's no chiv of tefillin today. Nevertheless, it still has a din. It doesn't lose its garment status, its malbush status, and therefore, min Torah, It's not a load. It's not chayiv chata. It's not a masay. It is only a din d'Rabbanan not to wear it on Shabbos. Continues the Gemara. V'loi b'kamiyah. The Mishnah tells us one is not meant to walk out and say, I'm wearing kamiyah, an amulet, which is meant to remedy a sickness, an illness. He's not meant to wear it bizman she'edem min amumcha, when it was not made by a professional. So a kamiyah, an amulet which is an effective amulet made by a professional, by an expert, who has a proven track record of curing illnesses or preventing illnesses through a amulet, that may be worn on Shabbos, considered to be a tachshit, considered to be like a garment. It is bottled to the person. He's not carrying a load. He needs it. It's meant to address his illness, his sickness. Therefore, it is bottled to the person. However, if this thing is not proven to be effective, in that case, it's like a masa, it's like a load. It doesn't have the quality, doesn't have the ability to address his chayli, his sickness, and is not considered to be a malbush. Omer Rav Papa, lo yitema, don't propose, don't think that the only kamiyah, the amulet that a person may wear, in Rishus Rabim, is only if this kamiyah has a proven track record on all accounts, on all fronts, meaning that the person who fashioned it is a professional, and this particular type of amulet has proven itself to work. Don't think so. Don't say that we need that much. Don't think that when the Mishnah tells us that we need to be mumcha, we need the mumcha gavra, and it's only fine until you need that the gavra, the person who fashioned it, should be a mumcha, should be an expert and a professional with a proven track record of making effective amulets. Umumcha kamiyah, and this type of amulet as well should have a proven track record, a history of being effective. We don't require both those elements. Don't think that we need both those things. Adam mumcha gavra, that the person should be an expert, umumcha kamiyah, and the kamiyah itself should have been proven to be effective. Ella, rather, we only need one of these things. Given the mumcha gavra, as soon as the person who fashioned it has a proven track record of fashioning effective amulets. Afagav, even though this particular amulet has not proven itself, it is sufficient. Because we know that the person who made it has the ability, has the chachma, the wisdom. He's a professional. He knows how to make amulets which are effective. He has a proven track record to prove it. It is sufficient for us, and therefore his amulet may be worn on Shabbos. So Rashi speaks out exactly how to determine what. Says Rashi, let's take a look at Rashi inside. This is Rashi, 18 lines from the bottom. Says Rashi, Nami, this is the second Pshan Rashi. We're discussing the first part of Rav Papa. Don't think we need both. We need that the person and the amulet should have been proven to be effective. Says Rashi, Shekos of Adam Zeh. What is an example of this? For instance, this person, Ruvain, he wrote 3 gimel minikimim, 3 different types, variations of amulets. Shal gimel minachaloim, to address 3 different illnesses. L'gimel anoshim. So he made 3 different types of amulets, which are meant to address 3 different types of sicknesses. He made it for Ruvain, who had one sickness. He made another one for Shimon, who had another illness, and another one for Levi, who had yet a third condition. Now, this person who provides 3 different types of amulets, and those amulets prove to be effective to address those illnesses and conditions. Hainu ismechi gavra b'chol kamiyim sheyase lo'ilam. If so, this person establishes his reputation as being a person who can fashion all types of amulets for all types of people, for all types of conditions. This is the concept of chazaka. We have a presumption now, the fact that he was effective 3 times, 3 different types of conditions, addressing 3 types of people who have these 3 types of conditions, is proves his talent, his professionality. He's able to do this kamiyah, this type of kamiyah, any type of kamiyah for any person. Uwimcha kamiyah shenasis. What is an example of the mumcha kamiyah? So up until now, we prove the person. Because if he was effective in 3 different situations, he's proven to be effective, an effective kamiyah writer. And what is the example of mumcha kamiyah? that this type of amulet proves itself to be effective, says Rashi, Shenasas Kimiyazu. What's an example of this? That this type of amulet was made l'gibul anoshim, was made for 3 people to address a single type of condition. Whether it was written by a single Reifei, a single doctor, whether they were written by 3 doctors, Nasa Kameh Mumcha. In any case, this type of amulet proves itself to be effective, because this type of amulet addressed 3 people who had the same condition. So we see that this amulet has the ability to address this type of condition. So once again, Rashi is referring to the first part of the Gemara. Don't think we need both things to fall into place. We need A, to prove the person to be an effective amulet writer, and B, we also need to prove that this type of amulet is effective for this condition. Now, how do both things fall together? How do both things combine? Rashi gives us this example. For instance, if this amulet writer was very effective, he had fashioned 3 different types of amulets for 3 different people who were experiencing 3 different conditions, and he was successful. This indeed proves that this person is a successful amulet writer. He's an expert. He can address all types of conditions, all types of people. Now, where do we find that the amulet itself has proven to be effective? That's if this amulet has addressed a condition 3 different times. So, if all things come together, for instance, if a person writes 3 different amulets for 3 different people who are suffering 3 different conditions, and that takes place 3 times, meaning for a total of 9 amulets that were written, in this case, both things take place. The person has proven himself to be effective because he has cured 3 different people experiencing 3 different conditions, and the amulet that he issued as well, this type of amulet, has worked 3 times, had recurring success, and therefore the amulet itself has also proven itself to be effective, regardless of who writes it, whether he writes it or someone else writes it, because this type of amulet is obviously effective in addressing this condition. Look, it worked 3 times for this condition. Says, well, we don't need both things. We don't need that the person should be an expert and the amulet should be an expert. One of them is enough. Says Rashi, continues Rashi, Ella rather, as long as the person has proven himself to be an expert, we don't need any more. What is the example, says Rashi? Because he issued 3 types of amulets. To 3 different people who were experiencing 3 different conditions. Even if he did it merely once, he applied 1 kamiyah to each person. 1 to Ruvain, 1 to Shimon, 1 to Levi, who were experiencing different conditions, and he was successful. This proves him as an effective, as an expert kamiyah writer. And now, going forward, he's relied upon to write any sort of kamiyah. And one can wear it on Shabbos. Says Rashi, Elokivan the Ismechi Gavra, the person proved himself to be effective. V'gimel min kamiyas, l'gimel b'nei adam, afagav d'lo Ismechi kamiyah. Even though this particular amulet has not proven itself to be effective, it only served once. Nevertheless, it is sufficient. Afagav d'lo Ismechi kamiyah shelo yiripe kamiyah ze adam oilam. So even though he's going to make a new kamiyah that never even worked, we don't even know if it ever worked. This type of amulet works at all. So not only didn't it work once, it never worked. This person is fashioning a new type of kamiyah, which is unknown to be effective. Nevertheless, since this person has a track record of being effective, of being an expert, he's an expert for anything. He can write whatever he wants, and we can be relied on and can be worn on Shabbos. So this is Rav Papa's Chiddush. Once again, we don't need both aspects. We don't need an expert writer and an effective kamiyah. Even if we have one of these 2 elements, for instance, the writer is effective, we know that he has a proven track record to deal with all kinds of situations. At least 3 times, at three different conditions, he had properly remedied with his kamiyah. That is sufficient. He can write any sort of kamiyah going forward, and we will wear it on Shabbos. Once again, Amar Papa, don't think the mumcha gavra, that we need that up until the gavra should be a mumcha kamiyah, and the amulet as well. This type of amulet has been proven effective. Ella, rather, given the mumcha gavra, as long as the person is an expert, even though this type of amulet has not proven itself, he can wear it on Shabbos. Dei kanami. The words of the Mishnah also indicate this. Because it says, one is not meant to walk in Shusram wearing kamiyah, when it wasn't received from an expert. But like Tani, it doesn't say Bizman she'ene mumcha. When this amulet in particular is not proven to be an effective amulet. Shema Mina, it appears from the Mishnah, pretty obvious, that the discussion is regarding the person. As long as the person itself is an expert, that is sufficient to be relied on. And the problem is only when the amulet is Eiloi Mina Mumche, it wasn't received from a professional who has a proven track record, but otherwise it's okay. Tanar Rabban went into the Brisa. Ezo Kamia Mumche. What is considered to be a Kamia Mumche? So, once again, we don't need that the person and the amulet have proven themselves. It's either the person or the amulet. The Brisa will discuss a scenario where the amulet itself, the Kamia itself, has proven itself. Even if perhaps the person writing it is not considered to be an expert, that's enough. As long as this type of Kamia is proven to be effective. What's an example of that? Ezu Kamia Mumcha. What do we find? A amulet, a Kamia, which is considered to be a Mumcha, an effective amulet, and can be worn on Shabbos. For example, as the Brisa called Sheripe, Vishana Vishilish. As long as this amulet has proven itself effective 3 times. So even if it addressed a single person's illness, the same condition, it was applied once, he was holding on to it a second time and he became cured. He held on to it a third time and it helped him. So we see that this type of kamiyah, this type of amulet worked 3 times, even if it wasn't the same amulet itself, but this type of amulet, the Gemara soon will tell us what is contained in these kamiyahs. So this type of amulet was effective. For instance, for this person Ruvain, he used it 3 times to address a specific illness. So it worked 3 times on that illness. It is considered to be a kamiyah, mumcha, an effective kamiyah for this particular condition. Kol sheripe v'shana v'shilesh. Echad kamiyah shel ksav, whether the kamiyah has writings in it. V'echad kamiyah shel ikrin, whether it contains roots of herbs. Doesn't matter, any type of kamiyah, if it's proven effective, is considered to be a kamiyah mumcha and can be worn on Shabbos. Imrishus Ram. Echad shel chalish yesh v'sakana, whether the person wearing it is in danger. V'echad chalish she'en b'sakana, whether this illness is not life-threatening, he can wear it. Lo shenichva. Not only if the person has already experienced, nifcha means that he fainted, he fell down, he collapsed. Some say this is referring to epilepsy. So not only a person has already experienced this, the ramification of his illness, even if he's doing it for prevention purposes, he knows that in his family there's a tendency for this type of illness, he's wearing it for protection, to preempt this condition, he's allowed to wear it on Shabbos. The kosher, he can untie it, umater, and retie it, reapply it, afilu b'shus harabim, even walking in the street. Obviously, he's standing in one place, he's not carrying it. He can untie it and tie it, even in shus harabim. Ubelvad, shelo yikshirenu b'shir b'tabas, v'yetzebay b'shus harabim. Provided he doesn't tie this kamiyah, we're using a shear, a chain, a bracelet, a necklace, ubetabas, or a ring, and wear it that way in shus harabim. Why? Mishumar sa'ayin, because of the onlookers, because it doesn't look like a tachshit. It's an amulet. It's meant for remedial purposes, and therefore, when he wears it with this chain, with this necklace, with this ring, it gives the wrong impression. It looks like he's wearing the kamiyah as a tash, as an ornament, as a piece of jewelry, and it doesn't look like he needs it for a chayli, for illness, and therefore it gives the wrong impression. Perhaps people thinking that he's wearing it unnecessarily. Don't give that impression. Don't wear it using. Don't apply it. Don't hang it on a bracelet or a ring, but directly on the body itself or on his clothing. Continues in Vatanya, but we seem to learn in a brisa that how we meant to prove that this kamiyah is effective. Ezo kamiyah mumcha, kol sheripa gimel bnei adam ke'echad. A kamiyah which healed, which addressed the condition of 3 separate people. So, why does the Brisa tell us that it's sufficient, if this kamiyah was effective 3 times, even to the same person, it healed the same condition for this particular person. So even if it only applied 3 times to one person, it's sufficient. The Brisa tells us not so, that this kamiyah had to be applied to 3 different people and have been effective in order to prove itself as an effective kamiyah. Says Malay Kasha, it's not difficult. Depends on what we're trying to prove. If we're trying to prove the effectivity of the kamiyah itself, that is an effective kamiyah, then indeed it's enough that it was applied 3 times to the same person. However, if we come to prove the expertise of the writer, of the person who fashions the kamiyah, in that case, as we said earlier, he needs to make a kamiyah to address 3 different illnesses. And that way he gets his chazakah, which will establish his expertise and will allow him to make a kamiyah for all types of situations, all types of illnesses, all types of conditions. So the Brisa, which tells us, the second Brisa which tells us that a kamiyah mumcha is only if it was effective in 3 different situations. That's why the Brisa tells us 3 people, because we're speaking about 3 different conditions. That was meant only to prove, to establish the track record, the mumchias, the effectiveness of the writer itself, to make him into a mumcha. Let's see inside. But haven't we learned in the Brisa? Ezu kamiyah mumcha. What is considered to be a kamiyah mumcha? Kol sheripel givnei adam ke'echad. That it was effective to 3 people who were suffering 3 different conditions. And for instance, he made 3 different types of kamiyahs. So we were talking about 3 people at once because 3 different kamiyahs were applied to them separately for their respective conditions. So is it enough for 1 person, or do we need 3 people? Says the Malay Kasha, it's not difficult. Holim chuye gavra, holim chuye kamiyah. Depends on what we're trying to prove. We're trying to gavra, trying to prove the expertise of the person. Then indeed we need 3 different illnesses. Holim chuye kamiyah. If we're merely trying to prove the effectiveness of this kamiyah, of this type of amulet, it is sufficient if it was applied even to 1 person for a single type of illness. As long as we had recurring success with this type of kamiyah, it proves its track record, and it's considered to be a kamiyah mumcha. Continues the Gemara. Rav Papa will give us 4 different scenarios, and he will give us the halacha in 4 cases. Amar Rav Papa, pshitali, it is clear to me, it is posh to me, obvious to me, that tlas kamiyah, tlas gavri, if a person fashions 3 different types of kamiyahs for 3 different types of people who are suffering 3 different types of illnesses, 3 types of conditions, and he gives it to them tlasa zimni, 3 times, meaning a total of 9 applications. He takes Reuven, who's experiencing a single condition, gives him a kamiyah, and it proves effective 3 times over, has recurring success with Reuven in his condition. The same thing with Shimon, same thing with Levi, for a total of 9 experiences. What's going to happen? Everything will be proven. The person will be proven as an expert because look, he was successful with 3 different people who are experiencing 3 different conditions. So now, he can make any sort of kamiyah that he wants. He has a chazakah. The kamiyah themselves have proven themselves to be effective because they work 3 times. So in this case, says Rav, it's pasha to me that both the person and this type of amulet have proven to be effective. Pshitali, it is pasha to me. Tlas kamiyah, tlas gavri. If one fashions 3 different types of kamiyahs for 3 different types of people suffering 3 different types of conditions, tlasa zimni, he does this 3 times over for a total of 9. Everybody is proven to be an expert. Ismachi gavra, the person has proven to be an expert. Ismachi kamiyah, and the kamiyah itself has proven to be an expert, to be effective. And even if somebody else will write this type of amulet, it's considered to be an effective amulet. We don't need specifically this person because the amulet itself, the kamiyah itself, has proven itself to be effective for this condition. So that case, this first case is pashut. Let's go on to another case. Tlosa kamiyah, l'chlosa gavri, chad zimna. What if a person writes a kamiyah, 3 different types of amulets for 3 people experiencing 3 different conditions? He writes a kamiyah for Reuven experiencing 1 condition, another one for Shimon who experiencing a different illness, and 1 for Levi who has his own situation. In this case, since it only happened once per person, Tlasa kamiyah, tlasa gavri, chad zimna, it only happened once. Gavri ismichi, certainly the person has proven to be an expert. He can address any sort of condition. However, Kamiya le'ismachi, the amulet itself has not proven itself, meaning the only one who can write these amulets will be this person, because he's proven himself to be an expert in all conditions. But for somebody else to go write this type of amulet, it's not to be relied on, because we don't know whether this amulet itself is effective, perhaps only if it's written by this person who's an expert. So this second case is obvious. We have the expert person, but not the proven track record on the type of amulet himself. Third case, Chad Kamiya Litlasa Gavri. What if he makes a single type of amulet for 3 people who are experiencing the same type of condition? So he makes one type of amulet, gives it to 3 people. So the amulet has proven itself successful in 3 different times. Had recurring success with a single ailment, a single illness. In this case, the reverse happens. Who is proven to be effective? The Kamiya. Kamiya Ismachi, this type of amulet, has proven itself to be a mumcha. It can address successfully this type of illness because it experienced recurring success. However, the person, Gavra lo Yismachi, the person himself, has not proven himself to be an expert with regard to other types of amulets. We only see that this type of Kamiya is effective for this condition. But since he only did one type of amulet to address one specific type of condition, he's not proven to be an expert. He doesn't have a chazaka where he will be allowed to write, to be relied on to write a kamiyim for other conditions. So in this case, it's obvious that only the kamiya is a mumcha, but not the person. So 3 cases are clear. We have a case where both are experts, only the person or only the kamiya. By Rav Papa, what's going to be in the following case? Talasa kamiya, l'chad gavramai. What if a person fashions a amulet, 3 different types of kamiyim, addressing 3 different types of illnesses, but it was provided for one person. So Reuven on Sunday experienced one condition, one illness. The person, fashioned for him a amulet, a kamiyah, to address that condition, and it was successful. On Monday, he had a different illness, and the person made for him another kamiyah to address that illness, and was successful. On Tuesday, the same thing happened. So a total of 3 different types of kamiyim, addressing 3 different types of illnesses, and he was successful. What is the halacha here? Kamiyah v'hadad le'ismachi. Certainly the amulet itself has not proven itself to be effective, because each type of kamiyah only worked once. So we have no raya on the kamiyah itself. What about the person? Has the person proven himself to be a mumcha? Because look, he has been successful in 3 different situations, even though they were only applied to one person. But there were 3 different conditions, 3 different illnesses, where he successfully applied a kamiyah. Gabra ismachi or lo ismachi? Do we say that the person has proven himself to be a mumcha because he successfully remedied 3 illnesses? Or lo ismachi? Perhaps not. Why? Do we say ha'asile? Look, he cured this person 3 times with 3 different conditions. So he's proven himself to be an expert in all conditions. Oy dilma, perhaps. Mazel the high gavra. The mazel, the malach of this ill person who become a makabel ksava. He accepts these types of writings. So he lets himself be affected by these amulets. So, meaning, perhaps, the streak of success that he's experienced with this person is particular, specific to this person. On account of his malach, he's the type of malach that likes this type of kamiyah, likes these types of amulets. So this won't prove that he'll be effective with other people. So therefore, there's no track record established for other people, and therefore, perhaps he's not a proven expert at all. It's only with regard to this person, but not with regard to anybody else. Teku, indeed, this is left unresolved. So, in summary, we learned halach in the Mishnah regarding a kamiyah mumcha, that if it is an expert, effective amulet, it may be worn on Shabbos, considered to be a malbush, a tachshit, and is not considered to be a masi. Rather, it is batal to the person. It is serving him. It is addressing his sickness, whether a present condition, or whether merely to preempt, for protection, for future, protect him from future illness. The Gemara told us that in order for a kamiyah to be worn on Shabbos, it needs to be one or the other, either fashioned by a mumcha, min ha-mumcha, made by an expert, by a professional who has a proven track record, or the kamiyah itself has proven itself to be effective. We don't need both elements to come together. Rav Papa gave us various examples which crystallize this halacha. Firstly, we have the case where the Adam and the kamiyah are both considered to be mumchim. What is that? An example of that is where the person fashioned 3 different types of kamiyah. He healed 3 different people who were suffering 3 different types of conditions. So he made an amulet for each one, and the kamiyah worked 3 times. So each kamiyah worked 3 times. So we have a total of 9 applications. In this case, the person who fashioned them has proven himself to be an expert. Because look, he was able to address 3 different conditions. So now he has the ability to write any kamiyah. The kamiyah themselves have also proven to be effective because they had a recurring success. They were successful 3 times over. Each kamiyah worked 3 times. So here we have a case where both come together. The person and the kamiyah are both proven to be effective. So the result of this experience is that the person can go ahead and write any sort of kamiyah that he would like. And this particular type of kamiyah, which was proven to be effective, can be written by any other person. Because look, this type of kamiyah works for this type of condition. We have the case where the person himself has proven himself to be a mumcha, an expert. What is that? Where he was merapi 3 people who were experiencing 3 different conditions. So he himself has established for himself a track record to be a mumcha. He can write any sort of kamiyah going forward. We have a case where the kamiyah itself is considered to be effective and mumcha, where this type of kamiyah healed 3 people, or 3 times in the same person, and has proven himself to be effective because this kamiyah addressed this particular illness 3 times and was effective. Finally, says Rav Papa, we have the case where a person was successful in healing a particular person 3 times from 3 conditions. Do we say that this proves a track record, that he's an expert and he can deal with all types of situations, with all types of people? Or do we say perhaps it was only with this particular person that he was matzliach, that he had success, because this person's malach accepts these amulets? Take it or we leave it unresolved. Continues the Gemara, we have a shayla. Kamiyan, these types of amulets, which contains words of psukim or Shem Hashem, yesh behem mishum kedusha, are they considered to be kaddish? Or dilma perhaps, ein behem mishum kedusha, they're not considered to be kaddish, because they're not written for the sake of psukim, they're written for the sake of addressing illnesses, and therefore they don't carry kedusha, they don't contain kedusha. What is the halachic ramification of this question? Is it perhaps for the sake of latzilinu, mipnei adleika, for the sake of saving them, rescuing them from a fire? We know the Chachamim applied a leniency regarding kisvei HaKodesh, holy sfarim, that they can be saved from a fire and even taken into a chatzah which has no erev. This is a kula applied to kisvei HaKodesh. Do these kamiyan have that leniency as well? Are they regarded as kisvei HaKodesh? Tashma, let's come in here from our brayso. Ha-brachos v'kamiyan afalpi sheyesh b'hem oisiyos, they have letters. Uminyones harbe, they have letters of Shem Hashem. Minyones harbe, they have psukim shebetoira. So these are the kamiyan brachos. Rashi says, for instance, the brachos of Rosh Hashanah, which contain psukim. So when we have these things written down, ein ma'atzilin oisam niadleika, they don't have the status of kisvei HaKodesh. We don't rescue them from the dleika. V'nisraf mimkaimim, we allow them to burn where they are. So we see that indeed these kamiyan don't have the status of ordinary kisvei HaKodesh. We don't apply the kula of kisvei HaKodesh to them. Ella says more than Gniza. The question is regarding burying. When they get worn out, do you need to bury them? Toshma, come in here. Hoya Kosov, if the Shem Hashem was written al yodos hakelim, on handles of a vessel, al ke'armita, on the legs of a bed, yoga, he needs to cut it off. V'yignezenu, and to bury the Shem Hashem. So we see in all cases, the Shem Hashem needs to be buried. So here too, regarding a kamiyah, it needs to be buried on account of the holy words contained therein. Ella says the Gemara, the question is as follows. Likonas ben beis hakise. Can you take them into a beis hakise? My yeshvam kedusha ba'aser. They contain kedusha, and it's aser to bring them into beis hakise. Oidimo perhaps ebam kedusha v'shari, regarding beis hakise, one can enter with these kamiyan into beis hakise. Tashma, come in here. V'loi bekamiyah. The Mishnah tells us on Shabbos, he may not go out in Shusram wearing a kamiyah bizman she'einu min hamumchim, and it wasn't fashioned by an expert. If it was fashioned by an expert, he may go out to Shusram wearing the kamiyah. There's no concern of carrying. Says the Gemara, let's prove from here regarding our question. If you say kamiyim, yesh shim kedusha, that kamiyim have kedusha, and cannot be brought into a beis hakisei. So why is there no concern here? There's a concern that it might result in being carried in Rishus Rabbah on Shabbos. Why? Zimnin the mitzarach beis hakisei. Perhaps he's going to need the beis hakisei. V'asur l'sayinu. He's going to have to remove it prior to entering the beis hakisei, and this may result in him carrying the kamiyah. He's going to carry it for amis dal damis Rishus Rabbah. So this proves, perhaps, that a kamiyah can be brought into the beis hakisei. Says the Gemara, no, the Mishnah, which allows a kamiyah to be worn on Shabbos without any concern, is speaking about the kamiyah, but kamiyah shel ikrin. It contains roots of herbs, it doesn't contain writings. Therefore, there's no concern of removal. Says the Gemara, but we learned in the Brisa, echad kamiyah shel ksav. One can wear a kamiyah on Shabbos, even whether it has ksav, writings. V'echad kamiyah shel ikrin, where it contains roots of herbs. It can be worn on Shabbos. Apparently, there's no concern of removal prior to bringing it into Beis HaKisei. So this proves that it can be brought into Beis HaKisei. Says more, Ella rather, Hochmai Skin, we're speaking about B'choyle Sheish Sakana. He has an illness where his life is in danger. Pikuach Nefesh. That allows anything. And therefore, there's no concern that of him removing it from himself prior to entering Beis HaKisei because of Pikuach Nefesh. And therefore, he's going to leave it on. He's never going to take it off for concern of his safety, and he'll bring it into Beis HaKisei, and it's allowed because it's Pikuach Nefesh. Says in our time, we learned in the Brisa, this halacha applies whether he's a chayla that his life is in danger, whether his illness doesn't pose a threat to his life. In this case, he's going to remove it prior to the Beis HaKisei. Why is there no concern of the kamiyah being carried on Shabbos? Apparently, it's a raya that one may indeed enter with the kamiyah into the Beis HaKisei. Says more, Ella rather, Kivan de Masi, since this kamiyah is meant to address his illness, it's curing him. There's no concern. Even if he's holding it in his hand, it's not considered to be carrying on Shabbos because it is meant as a remedy. It's coming to heal his illness, his sickness. Therefore, even if he holds it in his hand, it's not considered to be a load. It's considered to be a tachshit, an item of ornament like an article of clothing. Therefore, once again, even if he removes it prior to bringing it into Beis HaKisei, it's not considered to be a problem on Shabbos. So we have no raya from the Mishnah that the kamiyah can be brought into Beis HaKisei. Perhaps he'll remove it. He'll hold it in his hand. There's still no concern of carrying on Shabbos because since he needs it for his health, it's considered to be a tachshit, even if he's holding it in his hand. Says, well, that's not so. Vatani we learned. Vatani Rabbi a person can wear a kamiyah, provided that he doesn't hold on to it in his hands. He can only do it provided he's not holding it in his hands and carrying 4 amas surabim. Why? It says Rashi, the top line of Rashi, apparently the ordinary way of doing this was to wear it, to have it tied onto oneself. Holding it in one's hand is not considered to be the ordinary way of having this kamiyah. It's considered to be a ma'asoi. It's only if he's wearing it properly. So certainly a person may not hold onto the kamiyah in his hands. Therefore, the fact that we allow him to wear the kamiyah on Shabbos implies that he can take it in with him to the Beis HaKisei. Why? Because otherwise, he's going to have to remove it prior to Beis HaKisei, and this may result in him carrying the kamiyah which is a ma'asoi. Says the Gemara, no, you have no right. Ella, hachamai skina, we're speaking about the kamiyah, the amulet is covered with leather, and since it has a covering, it can be brought into the Beis HaKisei. So in summary, we learned about the kedusha of a kamiyah. The Gemara told us regarding saving from a fire, it doesn't have the halacha of Kisvei Kodesh. Regarding gniza, burial, it does, it needs to be buried. Regarding entry into the Beis HaKisei with a kamiyah, this was left unconclusive. We had no raya, because the halacha which allows a person to wear the kamiyah on Shabbos is speaking about a kamiyah which is covered with leather, and he's certainly allowed to bring it into Beis HaKisei in that manner. There's no concern of removal and it being carried in Shus Rabbah. Okay, time for a chazorah, brief chazorah. Today's daf, we began with the halacha of wearing a single shoe, which is allowed when the person has a wound. One approach in the Gemara was, he places it on the foot that has the wound. According to the other approach, he places it on the other foot. Now what is the sequence in which one would then to put on his shoes? According to Rabbi Yechon, first left, like tefillin, and then right, according to the Brisa, right, then left, Irei Shamayim. First puts the right on, then the left, then ties his left, then proceeds, the tying is right. We learned about kamiyah, that can be worn on Shabbos, provided it was fashioned by a person who's an expert with a proven track record. Or, this type of amulet has proven to be effective. We don't need both things to come together. Rav Papa gave us 4 examples. We have a case where the person and the kamiyah have proven to be expert and effective. We have the case where the person has proven to be effective for all types of kamiyahs. We have the case where this particular type of kamiyah has proven to be effective. And we have the unresolved question, where a person was effective with 3 different cases, 3 different illnesses regarding one person. We concluded with the halach of kamiyah. Does it have kedusha? Well, it depends. With regarding to the halach of dleika, it doesn't. Geniza, yes. Beis HaKisei was left unresolved.